Welcome back to Autodesk Digital Builder Podcast. I am your host, Eric Thomas. Today, we are live in Nashville, and I have the privilege of sitting down with Dr. Sarah Buchner, the founder and CEO of Trunk Tools. Sarah, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
We're excited to dig in, and we're going to talk today about all things AI. And the intention of this conversation is to get deeper into the weeds. How can people actually get started using these tools? I feel like there are so many 35,000-foot conversations you run across where they go, AI is great, AI is cool. Now what? And I'm really excited for us to get into the now what. And for those out there who aren't familiar with Dr. Buchner, she grew up in Austria, worked as a carpenter from age 12 to support her family. And after years in carpentry, she moved into general contracting, rose from project manager to group leader, has a PhD in civil engineering and data science. In 2021, she founded Trunk Tools, which is a technology and AI-driven company. So I feel like we have a very good guest today to get into all the things that I'm planning on asking her for. One other thing to keep in mind for today's episode, I'm going to make an assumption that you probably already know what artificial intelligence is. But if you do need more context, please go back to episode 77 featuring Tanya Custis. We do give a very deep overview there. But Sarah, I've been rambling for a while. I'm sure you're tired of that. So I'm going to get into the first question. I'm excited to get into the weeds, like I mentioned before, on the how. And when we last met, you shared that your own team is drinking the secret sauce and has jumped into all things AI. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about how that process went and how your team's work has changed from the adoption of these tools.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't elegant, right? It's crazy because I run an AI company. We're fully AI native. We produce AI, and we still had struggles actually adopting AI in every department, right? And so what I did about a year and a half ago, I lost it. And I told the team in an all hands was like, if you don't use AI a week from now, every single day, you will get fired. Full stop, right? And again, I can do this because we're a startup and we're in the United States of America. But it was interesting that I had to make the switch from people being scared about losing their job because of AI, about being scared losing their job if they don't use AI. So that was the change management piece. And then it came with a lot of top-down pushing, people in different departments, here's this tool, here's that tool. Let's rethink our workflows, or let's rethink what the goal is of each workflow, right? And how can we support this with AI? So at this point, from BDRs to the sales process, this is heavily AI augmented through Nooks and Avoma. And there's so many tools out there that you can use. Obviously on the engineering side, we use Cursor and ChatGPT and Devin, all the tools to actually help produce software. And then we've sprinkled AI on every single part of our workflow.
It does make a lot of sense. And I have to chuckle, there's a lot of pressure that comes behind the way you teed this up for your team.
It's my style.
But I think there have to be some level of stakes to convince folks who are hesitant to make that change and jump in head first. It's very easy to stick with what we know. And I will have to say, I am impressed that you've made sure that you're drinking your own Kool-Aid to a degree. As an AI-focused company, when you're going to market, it's hard to feel credible, I'm sure, if you're not internally adhering to the same best practices that you're advising to your teams. And so I wanted to hear a little bit more, for those that are resistant to these changes, why were they so skeptical or just generally uninterested in using their work, aside from the standard, I already know what I'm doing, I don't want to change?
You're right? Change is hard for humans in general, right? We just need to acknowledge, even from a psychology perspective, nobody actually likes change. And so we need to create an environment where change is incentivized by either stick or carrot, right? I used carrot first, I went to the stick then. But until this day, we're heavily showing within the organization that somebody did something better, changed their workflow. And so we are embracing change. And then for the people who are just think most of the stuff is in construction. For people who are hey, I don't want to do this, I'm not interested, is because people are scared about their jobs or they think they know better. And the interesting piece is when people tried AI a year ago, they were probably true that they were better than AI. But for most workflows at this point, it's not necessarily true anymore, right? 80% of white collar workflows can be automated with the AI that is out there today. And that's a hard pill to swallow because a lot of people build their career on being an expert in A or being an expert in B. Most of the expertise is just not as valuable anymore as it was a decade ago. And that hurts.
Things change abruptly. And there's one point in there that I really do like to lean into is if you looked at AI or you looked at that tool a year and a half ago, then you're going to have to step back and make a new assessment, make a new evaluation, because ultimately, things have evolved at such a rapid pace that the opinion that you might have made a year and a half ago may not have any relevancy regardless of the tool that you're looking at. And so there's a lot of iterative challenge and change that comes here. But let's apply this to our friends in the world of construction a little bit more directly. And in what your experience in all the customers you've spoken to and folks who are going through and adopting these new tools, what changes do construction companies typically need to make to be successful in adopting AI, especially for the people that are out in the field?
I see construction as like a trifecta of people who are important. There's like the people in the field, the actual users, right? And then there's the supporting departments, IT, innovation, whatever. And then there's the executives, the C-suite. The only times I've seen a successful AI adoption in general contractors is really when at least the C-suite and the field were aligned. The supporting functions are important, but you can get through this. So like my advice to general contractors is if your legal team says no, if your IT department says no, like maybe, get them some support, hire an outside lawyer because your lawyer that does the normal like GC contract might not be the best lawyer to look at an AI company and so on. So like the support functions you just need to handle. No AI will get adopted if the field doesn't see value and if there's no top-down pressure, right? So like AI is actually not a pure bottoms-up play, which many people think out there. I keep hearing like, oh, construction has problems adopting technology. That's just BS. Like what construction has a problem with is that most of the technology is not adoptable because it's so bad, right? Like UIs from the 90s and like workflows with like manual data input is just dead. Like we are in 2025, nobody has to plug in data anymore. Like an AI can take care of this. So let's create more tools that are actually adoptable and the field will be happy because it's instant pain relief. But not even if that holds true, if the executives are not bought in, if there's not a support from the C-suite saying like, we are doing AI, we are changing behaviors and the organization and the business model that comes with that change, then it's not going to happen.
I appreciate that context too, because changing workflows for the field is challenging because there's so much happening. And if you're C-suite and you don't have a good change management process in place, folks are going to be hesitant largely, especially if this new tool might add a minute or two in some steps to their process or might take a little bit of training and experience to get up to speed. That's hard for them to swallow because they go, okay, it usually takes me 20 minutes to do this. Now it takes me 23 and I have to do this 6 times a day. Help me understand why.
I don't think that's the problem because AI actually reduces time very quickly. I think the bigger problem is there is inaccuracies, right? There's hallucinations. Like AI is not perfect. Neither are humans, by the way. And AI is definitely at this point better than the human in most cases. But I need to have executive support to try a new tool, to test a new tool, and to fail with it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times people will fail with it, and that costs money and time. And like, if I don't have executive support, I'm not going to try it because I'm just going to go back doing the same things I've done 10 years ago.
Yeah. Like, why on earth are they going to take the risk if they feel like there's something punitive that'll follow? Like, you really have to set up the environment for that change to take hold. I appreciate that too. So let's take a look at a fictional mid-sized general contractor as an example. In your experience, which workflows or parts of the construction process today are offering the most ROI when adopting AI, especially out in the field?
Yeah, I like to split up construction like blue collar and white collar, right? Like I don't see a lot of AI actively changing blue collar workflows as of today, right? Like maybe it can help a little bit like querying information, right? Like what we did with trunk text. Yes, that helps sometimes, but ultimately, as a blue collar worker myself, right, I started as a carpenter, I'm actually very excited that the future means that blue collar will be even more uplifted in our society because that's not automatable, right? So let's look at the white collar workflows. Most of what the GC is doing, by the way. We strongly believe, and there's research showing that about 80% of white collar workflows in construction can be automated with the technology that's out there today. That's a hard pill to swallow, right? Because then we can ask each other, what's the business model of a general contract if 80% of it will be done by AI agents in the next few years? But what's the highest ROI is the most repetitive workflows that are clearly defined so a mix of deterministic and probabilistic models can actually get to a high accuracy result. The things we've seen super successful is submittals, right? We launched Trunk Submit as a submittal agent that just does the submittal review automatically, like end to end. That has gone through the roof because we don't need a human anymore. It's a fully autonomous end-to-end agent. So submittals, meeting minutes, just general search, retrieval, scheduling. There's so many tools out there that are optimizing the schedules, Alice, Smart PM, and so on. So like we see a lot of smaller workflows that are really done end-to-end by AI, which is really exciting because it's going to aggregate up to most of the white collar work that can be automated.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense. And it's going to be interesting to see how these these changes do make their way out into the field as well. And I would agree that's probably the most challenging area to make a lot of these changes, especially for where the technology is at this stage in the evolution. But I think the crazy thing that comes with that is just the rapid pace and scale of the change. Because if we were having this convo a year ago, I would be a lot less on board, because I just feel like, well, I don't quite see it yet. And the tide is changing, and it's a really exciting moment.
And it's why you didn't invite me a year ago.
It is, yes. I was like, nah, not quite yet. But we're here today.
No, but I mean, the middle one is fun, right? Like, so we are focusing more and more on end-to-end autonomous agents. What that means is really there is a trigger, an outside trigger happening, and then the agent actually does it without any human involvement. Because once you reach that level, we don't need the behavioral change to happen, which has always been the problem in construction tech, because you're talking to masses of people who are not necessarily like the most tech-affine people out there, right? And so it's like, let's not focus on human behavior change. Let's just take the workflows where we don't need that.
So I want to click into AI agents a little bit deeper. I think that's probably the most common AI tech that folks are going to be familiar with, the ChatGPTs of the world and everything else. Can you share more of your perspective on how to distinguish a true AI agent from some of these other AI tools, and what construction teams really should know about how these purpose-built tools differ from, our good friend ChatGPT or whatever that might be that they're already familiar with?
Yeah, I don't think there is a definition of agent that I would subscribe to. Like, it's such a fuzzy word, and like every company now has AI, everybody has agents, and some of this is just basic SQL workflows. But I don't think it matters, right? Like, what matters for construction is, does this tool solve an actual problem in the field or in the back office, right? And does it actually show ROI, and is it adoptable? The more autonomous agents, the real agents, will solve that problem faster, because again, it's just like it's doing an end-to-end workflow, and it actually can do the reasoning and can do the work. The differentiation that I would look at if I was a construction company, I would just try it. Like, it's the only way to actually figure out if it works for your use cases with your teams, or if it doesn't, right? Go out, try it. Don't just try it by passively throwing a tool out there. Find the right team that actually wants to try it and wants to embrace change. And then you can make an informed decision or not. I think the problems I see with the general AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever, is you just have to think about what are they focusing on as a company and what data are they trained on. A ChatGPT is not going to focus on construction for a very long time, because it's always the last industry that a journalist goes after. Like, we know that. And the second big piece is ChatGPT is not trained on construction data. So try upload a set of construction drawings and ask anything on it. Like, it's going to fail, because it doesn't even have that in their training data sets, because all of construction data is proprietary. And so it needs niche and vertical specific AI like trunk tools, like some of the others out there, to train on construction data. And we spend years and tens of millions of dollars on training on drawings. It is such a hard problem for any kind of AI, ML, or vision models, that it needs super niche data and expertise to actually make it work.
Yeah, and I also like to remind folks at this point too, that for a publicly available agent like ChatGPT, you need to be very cautious about what you plug into that interface, because whatever plan or drawing or whatever you happen to upload, if you don't have your own segmented version, an enterprise version that doesn't just port this into the ether, that can be discoverable by anybody. And especially, security risk, compliance risk, there's so much to consider. And if you want to learn more about that, you should go back to my episode with May Winfield a couple of years ago, where we talked all about AI and the legal risks, because there's a lot to consider, and it's very different from a lot of the traditional tools I think folks have used historically.
Yeah, but I love that, because with trunks get put under scrutiny, right, of like several months of legal and security and all of these reviews. And then we're finally done. We signed everything. We go on a job site. They have 3 different general LLMs that they're already using, right? They're on Gemini, they're on ChatGPT, the specs book, everything gets uploaded. Their contract sometimes gets uploaded on ChatGPT on the normal public version of it. And you're like, wait, I just went through 6 months of like IT review, and the people in the field are just dumping whatever they want into ChatGPT. So like, there's this, again, the segregation of reality and what IT departments or legal departments think that reality is. And reality is like, you're out in the field, like we've been in the field. Like, if you're in the field, you're going to use whatever you can to make this job work, because ultimately that's your goal, right? Handing over in budget and time. And so you're not the one thinking about like, okay, should I upload this right now or not? Like, no, I need to just get the job done.
Yeah. I think that really does come back to training and change management and helping everybody understand. I've had a couple folks talk about having AI deployment teams where they're very focused on helping everybody understand both here's the benefits and all the good things that come with this, but also being very aware of the risks. Because to your point, it's very easy for somebody to decide, I'm going to go rogue today because I just need to get this done. And I have tremendous empathy with that. But the risk, the scale is very different for the risks at that point than I think most tools have historically been if you're out there and just whatever is publicly facing. With all of this in mind, and I think you touched on it a little bit, but where would you suggest folks get started if they're curious about implementing AI both in a personal way or in a professional way? It can feel a bit daunting, especially as we're yelling about all the legal challenges and such, but where would you suggest folks start?
Yeah, I always suggest people to start in their personal life. Why? Because it's less scary, there's less risk involved, and it just like actually like opens up their creativity way more than if you just do it in a professional context. And so I always like to tell people, start writing a personalized good night story for your children with whatever lesson you want to teach them. Or like, hey, create a new recipe because you want to cook something. Or like, hey, you're going to trip to Paris. Tell me, what should I do? Where should I go? Like, start with the very basic things and just start talking to it like you would talk to the most sophisticated expert for whatever you're trying to achieve. Like, that's where it is at. And then professionally, I've implemented this with our own executives now. I forced them to talk 2 hours a week with an AI about the problems they have in their business, like the same way they would speak with a McKinsey consultant.
Okay.
And it's so good at this point, right? Well, it's giving, and it's not just like, hey, it gives you an answer. It gives you an answer and makes a suggestion for the next step, right? That's reasoning agents. And so that really helps people get into this. And like, all you need to convince people to do is get over the hump where you're scared of it. And then you will like open up a whole world of possibilities.
And I love how you can continue to query it too, where you go, okay, you said this thing and I'm on the surface, I might agree with it. Explain to me where you got this. Give me your supporting information. And you start getting some backup links and you can go way down the rabbit hole, but it does validate to a degree what you're looking at because, as we all have touched on already, there are hallucinations and other fun things that can come up. And so there's room to be cautious. But I do love your guidance on starting in that personal way too, because it is a little bit lower stakes. You're not putting your company data at risk. And I think everything we've said so far about be careful about what you put in there still applies for your personal life as well. You don't want to put your bank records up into there, even if it might help you get through something. I think if you're being very intentional, it really builds your proof case, and you can come to work then and feel a bit more confident about what you're doing and kind of build on it and iterate it from there, regardless of, where your C-suite might be sitting.
Yeah. Or when you have a fight with your romantic partner, it really helps. Just don't write the text before you ask the AI of how to write it like nicer.
Just put this one in here. You go, we're mad at each other. Please help.
Please help. Yeah.
Well, I think I want to close on a positive note here. But there is a lot of doom and gloom about the topic of AI. And you've touched on some of the reasons that folks are concerned right now. And I understand where that concern comes from, especially with the speed. It's hard to react and respond as we kind of move forward. But can you really share some of your thoughts? Just like, where are the silver linings? What's positive? What should people be excited about? And to help them kind of build on that, especially if they are looking at us right now going, this is ridiculous. I'm not interested. Like, where is that positivity in your perspective?
I thought I was positive all along.
We were. I'm speaking generally about the world. But you look on the news and it might not have a positive inflection as far as what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's because bad news sell better, right? I just don't believe in that, right? It's like historically we've seen this with industrialization and with like the internet, and people were always kind of like freaked out about change. And we as society and as humans have always figured out how to make the best out of, or maybe not the best, but how to like turn into something positive. So just focusing on construction, like we have massive problems. We have labor shortage left and right. We just don't have enough people who want to work in this industry. We have infrastructure problems. With more AI, I think we'll have energy shortages. We have a housing crisis. Like, we have so many problems that we need to solve.
I thought we were going to be positive.
I'm getting there. And I think AI can obviously help with the labor shortage because it takes away a lot of the bureaucratic workflows that nobody wants to do. Like, I hated that part of my job in the field where I had to fill out a daily log. Nobody has to fill out a daily log anymore. Yeah, I can do this for you, right? So like, there's these smaller things. But on the larger picture, like 10% of construction costs is rework. We have proven out that about 80% of this, you can actually like figure out with AI before it happens, right? So we currently in R&D find about 80% of all RFIs before they ever hit the construction side. That, if you think about the whole industry, is $1 trillion in saving, but more importantly, it's 4% of the world's CO2 emissions. Let's get the plastic straws back. We're in such a like impactful industry where we finally are at a point where technology can really help and not just digitize paper processes, like actually run with workflows and actually produce output proactively. And that's really exciting for the whole construction industry. what it takes to get there is executives that understand that, like, it takes tech companies to build good products. Fine. We have a bunch of those. But it takes executives to understand that it's more important to jump on AI early, because otherwise they're not going to be competitive anymore soon. Yeah. And even if they're not perfectly sure, hey, is it trunk tools or is it another tool or whatever? Like, I had a CEO of an E10 company come to me, bought trunk tools for whole organizations for 2 years, right? And I was like, hey, just walk me through, like, how did you make this decision? And he was like, I actually don't care if trunk tools is still the right tool in 2 years. I care that my people start thinking AI, because that is so much more worth in the next 2 years than the switching cost from, like, switching off trunk tools to something else, right? And so we need more of that mindset that actually moves along the whole industry. And so I'm very excited for construction.
I love that perspective that, our person had, because it's so critical for folks to continue to move forward, to be nimble in this industry. And for an industry that, we've all seen that chart, that terrible chart that goes, construction hasn't been productive for 10 billion years. And like, that may have been true 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but it couldn't be further from the truth now. And I can see where folks are sometimes concerned, because that pace of change is hard to nimbly respond to in an industry where a project spans 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and your tools and your processes have been entrenched from the start. And then suddenly we're being asked to make changes. Mm-hmm. And so I think getting that AI first mindset and just getting going to make sure you don't get left behind is going to continue to be increasingly important as we move forward. But I think at the same time, that's why we should be excited right now, because of all those problems that I, poked you about a moment ago, as far as sounding so gloomy. There's reason to be concerned. But at the same time, we now have reason and a lot of room for optimism, where we go, okay, there's some grounds from change. And I think the catalyst is here. A lot of the announcements that were made, this morning during our keynotes are getting into that. I'm not going to even touch that today, because we'll have to take another half an hour to unpack everything that's been shared. But it's an exciting moment.
Yeah, and I think it's exciting, emotionally very exciting. I'm a builder, right? Like, and our company's mission is let builders build. And I really think AI has the potential to do that, right? To let people, you don't go into construction because you want to, like, write a meeting minute, right? Like, it's just not.
I love submittal logs. I can't get
exactly. Enough. So you go into construction because you want to build, you want to create the necessary infrastructure, the built environment, like roads, hospitals, schools, everything that makes us so proud to be in this industry. So let's get back to that and let AI take care of the rest.
I love that. I think I'm going to leave us there as far as the AI conversation goes today. But I do have one more question for you. And it's one that I really enjoy asking everybody. What is one tool that you use on every project, no matter what you're working on? And you can't say trunk tools.
I was about to say AI, but like, it's too easy. I don't know if it's a tool, but for me, I think the thing that had made me most successful and keeps me going is resilience. I had a pretty rough childhood and everything, and like everything that I somehow ended up in this best country on earth, and somehow, like, I'm living the American dream. And I think the reason for that is just pure resilience, and that's what I try to instill in my team and in my day-to-day life. And I mean, I'm either insane or resilient, but I'm a blonde immigrant woman in construction tech that somehow pretends she can be a carpenter and a CEO of a tech company, and to an industry that doesn't even want to hear the word AI. So, like, it's either insanity or resilience.
I like that answer. And I think every successful tech founder that I've spoken to has an air of that somewhere.
Insanity?
Insanity, yeah. Well, yeah, there's an aspect of that too. I've worked at a couple startups myself. But I think that resilience is just so key, because what you're doing is hard. I am impressed with the founder of any company who steps back and goes, there's nothing here and I want to build this. And there has to be a little bit of craziness to undertake that. But to get to the point where you're fundraising successfully and you're building and hiring teams, and you're able to give them the ultimatum of, in a week, you don't use AI, well, we're going to have a bad conversation, and have people stick around. They see a vision. They see a lot of things to be excited about. And so I love that answer. That's great. I have to say thank you again for joining us for this episode of Digital Builder. If you were wondering who I am as you walk by and you're like, why is this guy yelling into microphones? I am your host, Eric Thomas. Of course, this is the Digital Builder Podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere your heart desires where podcasts show up. Until the next time, goodbye.